What's up, everybody? It's your favorite, this might be my last TFC's Purchase Favorite Nerd, and today we are looking at TFC's Hades. That. I have a hard time with some of these words. Maybe I'm not as much of a scholar as you, and that's fine. We all have different strengths. We've already looked at the combine mode by this point, but I haven't, but I put that video up first, so I don't know how I feel about this set yet. This guy does come with a fair share of accessories we should go ahead and start talking about straight away. He comes with 2 hands for the combiner. These also can double as weapons and stuff. We got this double, actually it's 2 sets of, what is it, 1 hinge here, yeah, so there's a double hinge and whatever. We'll get to this later, but the hands seem fine. And the articulations at the knuckles, we're going to talk about all this later. Kind of redundant at this point, but this seems fine. He also comes with the gun system, which we've probably already talked about in the combiner video by this point. Lastly, he comes with these 2 replacement parts, which we know whether or not this worked by this point. But right now we don't, so it's still a mystery, traveling through time. Lastly, of course, he comes with his breast buddy, as we've been calling them, which is this thing. And it looks fine on him. I'm not sure if I even, let me double check that. From what I can tell, they don't even actually show how it's supposed to go on him. But let's just see. I put it on that way. If this way would be, yeah, that's obnoxious. You can't see him, so it has to go that way, which is fine. All right, now we got these feet. They come down here on little ball pegs. And then we have these wings, and they flip out 1 hinge here and a separate hinge here. Now, we're almost done, ladies and gents. We have the tail that goes back. We have the bird head that spins around on this little ball peg that you have a fair amount of torque on, so be careful. And you have his little bird, and he's okay. We'll talk about it. There's gold paint apps on the pink, which looks pretty good. And then you have the red on the white, which also looks good. Not sure if the red is supposed to be a pink, but there's red on the figure, so either way it matches, either way it works. I'm okay with it. Eyes are painted on them, so that's a nice bonus. We're not necessarily used to eyes being painted, but we'll talk about that here in a bit. We got the wing articulation here and here, and then a separate one here and here. That all feels fine. Little ball pegs for the legs, which aren't the best, but under the circumstances, I think we'll accept it. And the wings are, especially this one, is a bit loosey-goosey. So not the best, but I'm even willing to give them a pass. Just because of how small and dainty this thing kind of is. Then we have the tail on a double hinge. And then the ball peg up here with an additional hinge. So you can get some cool stuff out of it, and it works just fine. So this is a retooling of the dark blue one, but it's still worth having a quick look at, right? So we have a retooled head, and it looks awesome. Once again, I wish that the eyes were painted on the beast face that kind of encompasses the head. And then it has the light piping in the back, and I don't think light piping is appropriate for a figure this size, but I know people are okay with it, and it's no sense in, beating on a dead horse. Nothing down, a fair bit up, and the swivel is intact on a little ball peg. I love the facial expression. I love the little smirk. Lots of character in that. Feels good, looks good. We have a universal joint at the shoulder. So you get the full swivel, a little squeaky, not as squeaky as this joint, but we'll get there. And the hinge that goes out to there, the little sculpt work on the shoulder doesn't impinge the articulation really that much. I think it's a great range. Gold paint apps there, gray paint apps there, and that's it for the arms. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, getting you the full Monty. Coming down to a wrist swivel, and fingers just in an open, relaxed position, which is fine. For the chest, we have this silver paint here and this red paint, and other than that, it's pretty much this flat pink. I will say that this flat pink, okay, we got 2 things to talk about. One, it's interesting just to see a bot in this color. It is nice for shelf breakup. Like, I put them on the shelf just to see how it would work. It's interesting. It makes your shelf a little bit more dynamic. I dig it. However, it doesn't seem like a rich, like a full pink. It kind of seems like it's almost like it's, I don't know, something seems less about it to me. But that's what we got, so it's fine. And then we have a waist swivel, and that gets you a full range. Keep track of those bits. And then we have our universal joint. Ooh, little squeaky universal joint. Now, we have hip flaps that not only do they articulate up to here, but you can also get them completely out of the way if you need a cheat in order to get a picture or a pose or whatever you need, so that's fine. Universal joints on a friction, not on a ratchet, which has been a complaint of mine for this whole set. But the range is great. Squeaky as the day is long. Whew. I wouldn't do any capers with this guy. He might squeal on you. Am I right? Stop it. And then up to here and back to there. So the range is great. This leg is actually better tolerance than this one, which pretty much squeaks the whole way home. Single jointed knee getting you 90 degrees, so that's fine. Sits a little high, but I think we'll accept it. We have gold paint and silver paint down here on the calves, and that's all applied quite nicely, as is the gold paint on the wings and stuff, so that all looks good. No real foot articulation. Everything comes down to the front toe bit, so it's all a cheat, but it works fine. So you get a toe tilt down, up, and then you cheat on the same ball peg to get you a ankle rocker. All does the job. Not the best, but does the job. Back doesn't clean up tremendously well. This whole set's a bit kibbly, as I think we've already discussed by this point. But it's not the worst thing either. So with that being said, we have one more thing to talk about. We're going to take our little breast buddy. We're going to put his feet back out. We're going to fold these back around. And I could probably do a better job, can't I? And then we're going to flip the head around and lay it back down. That ball peg does make it a little bit tricky sometimes, but you can get it. Which exposes the handle, which kind of sort of pegs into the hand, not really. And the reason why is because the back of the breast buddy is not accounted for in the sculpt. Now, if you turn it sideways, he gets a much better range. And you can, it's cheap, but you can kind of make it work. Not the best. Peg should have been longer, and that should have been the end of it. Now let's get him transformed. First thing I do is turn the head around. It's just something that I'll forget if I don't do it. This whole section comes up. I have to cut this in because when I was filming it initially, when I went to go edit it, I realized that you couldn't really see this part of the engineering, but this is relatively new, or actually it's absolutely new. But you'll find that in order to get it around the head, this piece, which we'll cut right back to so you can see. But there's these pieces here that are on sliding pieces, and that should allow you to manipulate them a bit around this bar in order to get the clearance to kind of fit around things. And I didn't do a good job of showing that, so I'm showing it to you now. And then they peg in, can you see that little peg there, into a little corresponding slot. And we'll tighten that up as we go. And this goes in there. These have to turn 180 and then open up. Same on this side. Get this arm out of the way. And now we're just going to rotate this up here at the top. Tuck the feet back. You have to, it's on a hinge, so push the hinge in. That'll allow you to tuck the feet back. And then you have to open up this. And what am I missing? Oh yeah. And that will allow you to collapse all this down, Combiner War style. And then close it back up. Please don't break. Actually, this has to... Is that right? Yeah. Okay, and then the same on this side. Open. Keep your wings oriented so that you can get them out of the way in order to collapse this. And then close it back together and tab together. And then this piece comes down. Now, these wings here you want up. And that's not the best tolerance either there. to get around that. You feel that? Hear that rather? And then these pieces come down and towards the back, and this piece like that. And we'll try to keep all this as clean as we can while we do it. And then the kind of these side wings here, they tab in. Boom. Can you see that? That tab, that slot there. And then these, and I got to figure out how to do this again. It's been a while. I remember how to do that. Don't you worry. I remember how to tuck the hands into the little compartment. I haven't forgotten that, in case anybody was worried. How's he going to remember to tuck the little hands in the compartment? It's so unique. And then bring these down. And you want, I know you want this little part facing you, and then this stuff kind of rotates out to the side, and then that tabs into there. Right? Yeah. Is that right? I don't know if that's right. Let me double check that. Nope, not right. They want this out like that, and then you rotate this down here. Yeah, that looks much better. So I was close. Are we gonna cut me some slack, or are we gonna tear me apart? Remains to be seen. And rotate this up in order to plug that in. And that's our jet. We'll clean it up and we'll take a bit of a better look at it. And there it is, and it looks pretty good. I like it a lot in jet mode. Now, one of the things that we'll talk about the features, they say you can do is open this up here, and like it comes like this, and you collapse this. We kind of already talked about that. And then you plug this in underneath. Now it stays, but it stays barely, and it's a lot of weight. Now I think it's kind of just trying to make it work. So kudos, I guess it's fine, but I wouldn't suggest displaying it that way if you were going to display these guys in alt mode. Not that you would, and then you could still connect your little bird thing down there and everything. Outside of that, the landing gear, they do flip up and down. Here, here, and here. This is still a little rickety. Like it just doesn't feel extremely well made, but it's good enough, I guess. And then the cockpit does open a bit, and it's a translucent plastic. And other than that, it looks pretty uniform, looks pretty good, looks very, jetish. It's nice. This is a bit, I think we talked about this on the last go round, so, they use the same mold, but this is a little bit of a throwaway, it seems. It's just not the smartest design, but I think it serves its purpose fairly efficiently. And size comparison wise, why not? There he is next to Tiger Tracks. To get him in combine mode, you untab. Easy for me to say. Not off to a good start, and I don't see. We'll figure it out. Untab both of these, and see if you can untab this waist section. And turn the wings, and you want them facing up like this, I think, and maybe down. I don't know. Open this up here, and it's okay. We'll get it later. Bring this whole piece out and swivel it around. Now, you got to get his combiner port around. Good. And then we want to get the arms sorted. Now, This time it's the opposite. So we have the pegs here, and they go into these holes. So we need to orient the arms in order to pull that off. And so that should put you at about there. I'm not sure that's 100% correct, but by now you know what it's like combined anyway. Same situation. And then you want to bring this back. These pegs go on there, and this all feels a lot more thought out than the previous one. Like previous one, you like tabbed into the shoulders and whatnot. That one's covered, so that's pretty much a go. And then you open up this stuff here. Rock these down. Close them back up. And you can have the wings whichever you go. And then your hand will... we'll just show it. And then you take these pieces and you bring them around. We'll get our wing. I got a wing. You hear me, Nikki? And then so this would go into the side. And then you could turn. I guess the elbow is this way. And you got your arm. That's going to be problematic. But we'll get there when we get there. You guys have already seen how it works by now. So this is just really to show how the transformation is done. Seems like it might be fine. Final thoughts wise, I'm not going to take too much of your time. I wish this guy stood better. But we've already pretty much talked about this mold. So let's just talk about the new things, okay? I do like this salmon color. I wish, like I said, it was a little bit more deep and full and rich. But I do like it. I also want to point out that there's an additional hinge on the shoulder here. So you actually get 2 outward hinges all the way up. So that's a point of articulation that I missed. But I do like the salmon color. It was actually surprising to me how much I liked it. But I would like to have seen it a little bit more rich, a little bit more deep. I love the facial expression. Outside of that, I kind of feel like it has the same kind of shortcomings, except there's some different things going on here. Some joints are toleranced poorly, but it still comes down to a tolerance issue, right? And then there's a lack of paint, and it's just there's a lack of a lot of things that are now not really acceptable to be lacking at the price point that this guy is sitting at. And that is the main issue here. And it's the main issue with this whole line. TFC's limbs have come out at $100 a pop since the beginning of TFC's third-party career. And at the time, it seemed appropriate. But now, the product hasn't increased as much as the times have. And at that price point, it does seem a little pricey for what you're getting. However, that being said, it's a pretty decent toy, just maybe priced out of its quality. But it's, the articulation is fine. The paint, where it is applied well. I said articulation already, but that's probably to be fair, the best thing about this. Our transformation is fairly straightforward. A couple bits have a hard time moving around other bits, but it's not unattainable. It's not an issue. I like the breast buddy, but he does have a very KFC tape feel, where like it just feels like you should get more. There you go. I understand. But yeah, if you like the other ones, you'll like this one. If you're not impressed with the other ones, this one's not going to impress you anymore. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.